Hello. All right. So we're going to get into launch your offer. So I'm going to give you an introduction into launching and what that means as a coach. All right. So what is a launch? Let's start with the basics here. It's really a launch is when a coach gets visibility, we give value, we gift an invitation to work with us, and we gain new paying clients through a strategic process of pre-launching, launching, post-launching, and nurturing in between those launches. Okay, and I'll break that down a little bit more, but there really are 4 steps to launching that really make a launch successful. All right, so why does launching matter? Well, it creates buzz and increases your visibility in the market, which is going to attract those potential clients that you want to work with, right? So ideally, we want to create buzz. We want to get in front of your coaching client profiles as much as possible, increase your visibility, give them an invitation, right? Launching also matters because it builds your reputation and positions you as the expert leader in your niche, which is what we want. We want you to be the go-to coach in your niche. But to do that, like we've got to launch and we've got to hang your shingle. We got to let people know you're there. All right. Launching also matters because it encourages interaction and engagement with your potential clients, which is going to build trust and create strong connections. So depending on what type of niche that you're in for coaching, sometimes, if you're getting into kind of deeper type wounded coaching that you're trying to help them get out of a wound and get into, success and happiness and all that kind of stuff, it takes a little longer to build trust. And when you're launching and you're sharing and you're, doing all the things in the right order, you will then get to build those stronger connections. It increases, the ability for you to build trust faster, and it's going to get you clients faster. All right. However, I want you to know, and I'll do a little sidebar here, is when you launch, not everybody joins that very first launch, right? Sometimes people need more. They need more trust. They need all that kind of stuff, all right? So, but when you go and you launch again, and you launch again, and they see that you are just being consistent with this, they are going to know you're their coach, okay? So we want to encourage that interaction, that engagement. It's going to build trust. And then lastly, launching matters because it gets you consistently paid as a coach, because then you can go serve with your heart, which is why we do this, right? So we're in service and we want to be able to get paid to do that. So I'm a believer that you can get paid to serve with your heart. It's very, very cool. And launching helps us do that. All right, so here's some problems that coaches have when they do not launch. And maybe you've been a coach for a little while, but you haven't done formal launches and that kind of stuff. This may resonate with you. And by launching, we're going to alleviate all these problems that may have arisen in your coaching company in the past. However, if you're new to coaching, this is what you get to avoid, which is awesome. So problems coaches face that do not launch, all right? There's a lack of visibility, right? Without formal launching, your offer may not reach that wide audience that you want, leading to fewer people knowing about you. And we want the most people to know about you so then you can serve them, right? And then let's go down here. Coaches that don't launch, they have inconsistent revenue. So skipping launches can result in irregular income. So if you find your income going up and down, or you're just not where you want to be, when we launch, it's going to help have consistent revenue because we're not going to just launch once. We're going to create launch cycles that's going to really help boost and even out that income for you, okay? So as you, for those coaches that don't launch and they have that inconsistent revenue, you're missing out on the revenue boost that a well-executed launch can provide, all right? And I will say this, and I'm going to share a lot more when it comes to launching, but the first couple of times I did a big, formal launch, I might have had the first time, I don't think anyone joined. The second one, maybe 1 or 2. And then over time, you just get better at it and all this kind of stuff. And you can have much more consistency when you do launch. Okay. So when I say well-executed launch, that may be the first time and you may get completely sell out of your program, which is what I hope for you. However, if you don't, then that's where that edit, experiment, and elevate comes into play. We're going to learn and we're going to do it again. We're going to learn and do it again. The only way you fail at launching is by quitting, right? So inconsistent revenue, we want to wipe that away because you're going to launch. The third thing is you have missed engagement opportunities. So when you have regular launches, you create excitement and engagement with your audience, right? Which you lose when you don't formally launch. You don't have an event. There's nothing you can invite them to. We want to have that engagement. When people feel engaged, they build trust. They want to work with you. They're going to say yes and then become a coaching client. Okay. And then coaches that don't launch, they tend to have a weaker brand presence. So when you have consistent launches, it helps build your brand authority, again, helping you become that go-to coach in your niche, right? And your presence in the market takes place really, really well when you have consistent launching. And it's harder to achieve without them. So, from a brand perspective, all that branding you did in the foundation and whatnot, we want to give it all the visibility that we can so that you have a strong brand. Okay. So if any of those resonate with you, you might be able to maybe do a little sigh of relief because that's going to all go away when we start launching. All right. So here's the launch cycle I was telling you about. There's 4 steps. So the first step is called the pre-launch. So this is what happens. It's called like the get ready to set the stage type of portion of your launch. So it's spending 2 weeks to 2 months building anticipation, warming up your audience, and creating buzz for your upcoming launch, right? So you're more visible, you're talking about, getting people and inviting them into your conversion event, which we'll pick for you, and all that kind of stuff, all right? So there's a pre-launch, and then step 2 is the launch. So the launch has an open and closed enrollment dates for whatever coaching program you want to put forth in the launch, right? So step 2 is all about being showtime, right? Open enrollment is for about I wouldn't go more than 2 weeks. I've kind of landed in the 10 days, but I found that no matter if you keep your cart open for a month or whatever, then, you'll tend to still get the same people. So same amount of people. So ideally 1 week, maybe 10 days. You can try 2 weeks the first time, whatever you want to do. But you have an open enrollment period into your coaching program where you have either special pricing or special bonuses that will then close after the date. Okay. So it's showtime. We want to create that excitement. We bring in the new clients before the doors close. And that just means before the end of your closed enrollment date. And I want you to really honor those dates because we want to not be the coaches that say, oh, well, it's closed, but it's always open, right? We want to do all this with integrity. And that's going to be important that I teach you launching with integrity. Okay. Then step 3 becomes the post-launch. So after the launch, you've got your people, you're starting the onboarding process, all that kind of stuff. You're going to then go follow up. You're going to gather feedback for what worked with the launch, what didn't work. How much did you maybe spend? If you spent any marketing dollars, did you get an ROI on that, return on investment? Are you going to follow up with people who didn't say yes, and maybe putting them on a wait list for the next time or whatever you want to do there. And it's really about kicking off your program with a bang, right? You're learning lessons to make this better next time. This becomes that edit, experiment, elevate portion. Okay. So post-launch is very important. And that's when you're starting and kicking off the program and all that kind of stuff, onboarding and whatnot. Then the last step is is nurture. And nurturing is really about that steady state marketing and visibility that you're going to get in between launches. Because you may know, and I know that I know coaches that only are visible when it's launch time and then you never really hear from them, or it's something very generic and automated, so it's like, I want you to still stay relevant in doing engagement and that kind of stuff until you decide, until you have your next launch. So at the post-launch, really, we're going to already have decided when the dates are for our next launch. So nurture just becomes about staying relevant, staying visible, building trust by sharing value to your audience and engaging with your community and setting the foundation for your next launch. Okay. So if you're the type that's like, hey, I don't have a list yet, I don't have an email list, or I don't have a ton of followers on Instagram or connections on LinkedIn or what have you, the best way to grow that is to launch. So, and it's like, just by launching, you'll start building that email list and all that kind of stuff, which is what I want for you. And then each launch tends to feel easier because you already have a base, which is cool. All right, so two types of coaching program launches. We've got the live launch and we have what's called an evergreen launch. We're going to be focusing on live launch because I feel like I think it's important for coaches to do live launching multiple times to really dial in their formula before they move into evergreen. Okay, that's just my philosophy. And I know there's a lot of people out there teaching and whatever about these evergreen launches and funnels and stuff. What I want you to know about that is those are great and they do work. However, they tend to put a ton of ad money behind it. So for, they may spend $1,000 a month on Facebook and Instagram ads, and make a couple thousand. So they're all about dialing in that ad spend as much as possible in most cases. So, when you're seeing everyone, I made $1 million on this launch, that's all just revenue. None of that matters. What matters is profit. Right? How much did they have to spend on ads to do that and whatnot? And I'm not moving into necessarily teaching you how to do Facebook ads and that kind of stuff. Like if that's something you want to do in your business, I can recommend great people to learn from or to do it for you. I feel like as coaches, we need to be in our zone of genius, which is, coaching and being the face of our brand and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So let's talk about a live launch. So live launching is using real-time interactions like webinars, doing live events, multi-day challenges that we're going to use to create excitement. We're going to build community and we're going to directly connect with those potential clients. I want you to think of it as an energetic party that gets everyone hyped up about your offer. So that's a live launch, and that's what we're going to be focusing on with the Go-To-Coach method. So, and then the evergreen launch is once you do that a handful of times, tweak it, refine it, then you can move into more of an advanced strategy around evergreen launching, which is having more of that automated sales machine that uses email series, email funnels, the social media campaigns, tons of ads and video content that consistently bring in new leads and enroll clients around the clock without that constant effort. So I know what you'll find is the first time you do a launch, it might feel a little like heavy or, it's your first one, right? It's an experiment. So it may not. Like if you've launched before, you'll be like, cool, like whatever. I've gotten much more casual and less stressed about my launches because I've done it multiple times. So it's like, what I want you to know is you're going to do that and it's going to get easier and easier because you're building from a base. You're not starting from scratch every time. Okay. So live launches over time can very easily move into be evergreen launches. All right. All right. So up next, I'm going to teach you and we're going to go through the Go-To-Coach method, which I think you'll really enjoy.